we're squarely focused on the agriculture industry right now.
We got to go, but GoPro getting into the business this week, what does that mean to you?
Doesn't mean much to us because I think that's kind of more of a consumer product, but I think that was a natural progression for them since DJI kind of went away from using their products.
All right, about 15 seconds out.
On here now.
Sure do.
That's right.
Is that what you use?
They're in the game.
That's a 3D robotics product, so they're kind of sticking with.
You said Dom's good, right?
Dan, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having
Love getting a
I'm
look at
sorry.
these. Maybe someday
I was
we can
talking
see
to
them
the
fly.
traders.
Anyway, Dan Murray from US.
Stand by.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys as well. That does it for us here in Closing Bell. It's time now for Fast Money. Melissa Lee, what's going on?
Hey, we got one chart. 5 words
36
for you,
in
Kelly.
music.
The great catch-up trade. We'll show it to you later on.
I think I heard train. Straight over to you
Trade.
guys.
Take 6 music. Pull. Ready 4 box. Watch your head to run 1.
I'm Melissa Lee. Your traders on the desk are Tim
White 4 box.
Steve Grasso, Josh Brown,
Ready Storm full.
and Guy Dami. Tonight
White
on
Storm.
deck,
Change
oil's
Chiron.
massive spike, crude
Stand by
soaring
Alpha.
more than 4%, back above $60 a barrel. But is this the real rally on deck next week with the kickoff to OPEC?
Why don't you batch
Top
that?
energy analyst
Roll
raises
Alpha,
plus big
white,
money,
change
big bet.
Chiron.
Billionaire investor Paul Singer says now
No, I said
is
she
the time to bet
batched that.
against treasuries. But will he
Ready
get
Storm?
burned
Don't
look right at it. There's nothing wrong
on
with
his
copy.
next big
White,
short? But first, to the
change
pharma
Chiron.
story rocking the street. Bristol Myers tanking. More than 7% on data released at ASCO, illustrating
Stand by
the
your training
high-stakes
box,
headline
RS14.
that could send drug company stocks plummeting.
Run
Don
it.
Chu's got more on this developing story.
Open Chewy RS14.
I mean, we're getting back some of those big losses in the after hours. Right now, I'm seeing it's up 34 cents,
half
about
storm.
0.5%. It's gotten back on 176,000 shares of volume.
White.
I mean, those shares of Bristol Myers could
slide,
play
sorry.
that big amount today on disappointment. Again, disappointment over what
I thought it
appeared
was
to be
too.
strong
Thanks.
results from a study of one of its cancer treatments called Opdivo. Now, this drug did improve survival rates for patients with the most common form of lung cancer, but it didn't work as well when tumors had a lower level of a specific type of protein. Without going too deeply into it, analysts had been hoping that the drug would be more effective for all levels of this particular condition, so that the stock did sell off sharply. That was one of the big reasons why, closing with the biggest one-day percentage loss
Ready,
since August of 2012. So with Bristol Myers, this is all centered around that American Society of Clinical Oncologists, that big convention, that big conference that's going on
We're gonna
right
trade
now
this,
for all
guys.
the anti-cancer participants. It'll be interesting to see. This is just the first headline. We'll see if it rocks
All right,
things
Melissa.
up early next week as well.
Take doubles. Ready 7.
Thanks so much,
Start
Don
your
Chu.
move
That
on
protein,
7.
By the way,
Take.
PD-1 protein, and another drug out there, an experimental drug, is also going after the same protein, also for lung cancer, and now be Merck's Keytruda. We did see Merck rise a little bit on the back of the news on Bristol's disappointing news, I guess. Merck is up 2%.
Yeah, and Bristol
35.
Myers, everybody
Take
loves
5.
Bristol
Go back to
Myers
being
for a
medium guy.
lot of the right reasons, and it trades at a huge premium, close to 30 times forward earnings.
Storm.
Ready
You
half
can make
storm.
the
Slide
argument
it.
that it's deserved, but when you get headlines like this on a Friday before this
Ready
conference,
6.
that's what's going to happen. So if you want to play the
Guys
valuation
trade. Fire.
game, I'd rather own Eli Lilly at 22
Guys
times
trade. Give me
forward earnings.
Lilly,
That had a nice
LLY.
day today. But better yet, I'd own Pfizer, which is in the teens right here.
And
Pfizer
follow it
to
up
me
with
slows
Just
that he wins
nice.
the race. I think Bristol
It's fine.
Myers, you're going to get a shot to buy it cheaper than
Guys
it is
trade
now.
again.
If
Guys
you're looking
trade.
for the middle
Fire.
trade, it's Eli Lilly.
Ready 6.
Nice.
Take.
I think the reason Bristol Myers gets
Ready
affected
1.
with some of the other guys here and why this isn't necessarily
You go back
something
to
Take
you
one.
should across the
Yeah.
entire sector is that they're
Name
40%
10.
kind of oncology revenues, and this is, to me, a much bigger
Storm
hit for
again.
these
Half
guys.
storm.
I don't
Slide.
know that this reads
Terrible
to
chart.
all the other players. Guy says this is a stock you don't need to chase here. I will say
Tim's trade.
it's traded down after hours
Fire.
to a level where you can start to begin to pick at the stock, and I think
That's
that is
good.
something people will probably begin to do because I think people, as Guy said, are overreacting on a Friday afternoon to news
6.
that,
Keep that up.
We
Take.
said time and time again that some of these larger pharma companies are acting more like biotech companies, and so hence we are seeing the declines and the volatility associated with the biotech company. It's not very often you see a large
Ready,
cap
2.
pharma stock down 7%
With
in
the
a single
storm.
session.
It isn't. If you look at Pfizer, the guy's
Take it.
point, it's
Come in, Grasso.
while Bristol Myers trails it a little bit. Merck probably right in line with that. But technically, Pfizer actually was challenged on the chart. Bristol has a much better setup going into this print. I would wait
Grasso's
a couple
trade.
days
Fire.
and be a buyer of Bristol.
6.
What do
Take.
you think in
Yeah,
biotech pharma?
Ready 4.
I think I agree with Steve. I would give it a couple of
Take
days.
4.
But I would be a buyer.
Josh's trade.
Josh's
Fire.
If
trade.
you go back and you look at the history of these types of announcements,
Everyone's
where
buying.
data series didn't show efficacy or people were underwhelmed, every single one of them has been a buying opportunity. And I think when you look at the depth and the breadth of this patent portfolio, it tells you that there's a lot more happening here than just one clinical trial that didn't go that well.
This
Ready,
makes me
6.
worried
Take.
about some of the other biotech stocks that might be on one's radar if one are to
Roll
trade.
tighter on 4,
some of
please.
these trade ASCO.
We should always
Ready,
be
5.
worried going
Yeah.
into this. I mean, it's,
Take
there's a
5.
lot of binary events going into this, but there are
Still
also
another
companies
minute
that
30
are
here.
called biotechs that don't
Ready,
trade
6.
like biotechs.
Take
They're
6.
actually big pharma. We talk about it.
No, I have a
Look at the
minute
Ready,
30
5.
left.
Take 5.
Gilead has had. Everybody's buried this company now a few times over the last 9 months, and here we are trading, I think, 110.
Half storm, slide it in.
Celgene as well. Amgen, for whatever reason, can't get out of its own way. I think
can give me
valuation is
Amgen.
very fair. They have an incredible pipeline and drugs out there already. In order, Celgene, Gilead, Amgen.
Ready one, take one.
The stocks that give them also a very good baseline, obviously, is the dividends on ones. And I think when you see this kind of move, people look at these stocks and say, you know, this is something I've been looking for an opportunity to get back in.
Close is good, right? Yeah.
62 on Bristol Myers is the level. I think the risk reward here is in your favor.
All right, let's get to the other big mover in today's session. That would be oil. Crude climbing more than 4%, settling above $60
CG4 half.
A minute light. The precursor to a larger move higher ahead of next Friday's OPEC meeting. Tom closes, global head of energy analysis at Oil Price Information Service. He joins us on the fast line. Tom, great to have you with us.
Headshot.
The expectation is that nothing is going to happen
a full
at
storm,
this
please?
OPEC meeting, correct?
Oh, I think that's the reasonable expectation. And all the
CG3.
rhetoric from the Saudis, the Kuwaitis, the Emirates has indicated that they will simply roll over.
Yeah, that's not a good question to start off with.
Ready storm in CG4.
And continue to cheat in the cases of people that do. So, no, I mean,
no, that was Mel.
That
was Mel.
Output, even by 50,000 barrels a day, would be an absolute shock.
So what is the deal with this big giant
No, that
news
was
that we saw
Melissa.
on WTI today? I mean, oil had been trading
Storm in
higher all
CG4.
day.
You can't say,
before the
you don't
recount
think anything's
came
going to
out.
happen,
The
right? It's
inventory
no
data
big
was
deal.
sort of mixed. The dollar move wasn't commensurate with the giant move that we saw in oil. What was behind this?
All good points.
White.
I think it was Friday. I think you had the mosque
Give me a
bombing
1
in
week
the morning,
after.
and the worries that ISIS violence might continue. I mean, we're
AOA-M.
anniversary.
load AOA-M
soon.
Yeah, let's take it. Yeah,
Roll Charlie dissolve.
And I think that probably going into a worry that propped up crude and sent tremendous volumes into some of the front months. In addition to that, you've got just terrific refining margins. So there's not much resistance from refiners to pay some of the higher crude oil prices because they're selling gasoline or diesel fuel for $85, $87 a barrel.
He's not even talking about it
Numbers
anymore.
work.
Hey, Tom,
2 in
Tom,
CG4.
what do you think about biofuel versus fossil fuel? You saw that ring rolling out with the renewable identification.
Want me to come out of it, Max?
Added on to the list, the litany of everything that you just went through. You should have seen crude actually much higher than it was today.
Well, I think the bio regulation was a big win for refiners, but I think it was a coincidence that it happened on the day where the market went up.
Yeah, now we're going to be 2.5 minutes
Today
late.
was a great day for refiners. They don't need to use as much ethanol. They don't need to count on U.S. demand for gasoline ratcheting up through the rest of the decade. And so it was a loss for the ethanol producers. But I don't think that it really should have that much impact on the price of fuel. If anything, you know, the last place you want to sell product is usually in the spot market or the futures market, and today gasoline was up nearly 10 cents despite the lower ethanol
Narbob chart?
So where do you see oil
Wipe out
headed?
CG4.
I think we're probably in a range here somewhere between, let's say, $50 and 62 or so. I still think there's a better chance that after the OPEC meeting we break down in that range, and the real worry comes at the end of the summer when refiners go into maintenance, and we'll have the highest Labor Day stocks ever for crude oil and lower runs, and that means lower prices for crude and probably another turn lower in gas prices. But it's going to be a great summer for refiners, no question about it.
Tom, thanks for phoning in. Appreciate it.
Take care. Have a good
Slide
weekend.
it out, ready,
All right,
6.
well, a big move in oil, but we didn't see the big moves
Take
in
6.
energy equities. We saw a trade higher in the airlines. It bounced finally.
The airlines.
I think there's a lot of speculation or trepidation that these are real moves. Although, you know, Tom's been on the show a number of times saying that oil prices are probably going to stay low. And they've been going up, and all the people that know a lot about oil's basis because they're misunderstanding, I think, the speculative nature of this, but also the fact that demand is coming in higher. No one's expecting anything out of this OPEC meeting, as he said. So the risk reward to me is on the upside. Meanwhile, the trade is that the European majors and refiners have been outperforming the U.S. guys over 15% over the last couple of months. I think that
Tim's
reverses.
trade.
And in fact,
Fire.
I would be short Royal Dutch Shell against long and Exxon. Put a spread trade on, hedge your risk, and basically buy the things that have underperformed at this time. I think you might see outperform.
Take 6.
You know, the data on crude getting cut in half.
Take
what
4.
happens 12 months later? We only have 4 episodes going back to 1980, so it's not a huge sample size. 2 of those took place in the context of a recession. 2 of them took place in an expansion. But when you look at what happened in the 12 months following, you basically had a 70% bounce back in crude. We've already seen almost 50, so we're pretty much there as far as what's typical historically speaking. But the S&P does very well. A 20% return 12 months after crude is halved and begins to make its comeback. However, when you look at the data, the worst place to play, the worst place to be, believe it or not, utilities and energy stocks,
The
they
trade
don't
is.
bounce nearly as
Josh's
well.
trade, fire.
Energy earnings in the S&P 500 actually stayed down 30% a year later. The big winners are industrial and technology. Those are two very strong parts of the market.
Ready
I
6.
think that's what you play.
Take 6.
Real quick, I think Steve would agree
Ready
with this.
5.
I think Tesoro,
Take
Tom
5.
just mentioned the margins and refiners.
Guys traded 5 in Storm.
Day to day, but against 85, you own it.
Fire.
Stock has not been able to make new highs this year. I think it will. Valero would be the second pick, but TSO here against 85.
Ready 2. Take 2.
Yeah, both of them. I would go refiners or I would go service names.
Okay.
So the refiners are up 20%.
Grasso's trade, fire.
Are up 15%.
Ready 3. Take 3. Music. Ready CG4. Do we have that? Oh, there's no CG4 today? Roll Delta.
And they
Dissolve.
both
Sorry.
tried to bet against the bond market and lost behind the
Ready
latest
3.
billionaire investor who says bonds are the next big short after this break.
Take
Plus,
3.
Don't look now, but the U.S. is trailing
Bumping on
Germany
7.
by one of its widest margins since 1955. Could this mean that we may be on the verge of the next great catch-up trade? A look at the chart you need to see. That's next.
Archer move. Dissolve 7. Stand by commercial in 5, 4, 3, 2. Roll rate.
So now I just have 30 seconds to play with.
We're out 2:45.
Are you stressed?